Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Having a Mom Moment podcast, where we dive deep into the world of motherhood and beyond. I'm your host, Shannon Warner, and I am excited to embark on this journey with all of you. Here's the deal. This podcast is your ultimate sanctuary, your sacred space to hit pause on the chaos of mom life and reconnect with the amazing woman behind the title of mom. Yep, it's all about those precious mom moments because, let's face it, we all need a little more time for ourselves. Am I right? So what can you expect from our time together? Well, picture this. We'll be soaking up wisdom from fellow moms, sharing their stories and triumphs and how they've tapped into alignment on their own motherhood journeys. It's like a mom-to-mom chat over coffee, with a sprinkle of inspiration and a dash of humor thrown in for good measure. We're here to light up your soul, to remind you of your incredible power, and to celebrate the unique spark that makes you, you. Because when we take care of ourselves, we become unstoppable forces for good in the lives of those we love. So join me as we laugh, learn, and rediscover the magic of this crazy ride called motherhood together. Get ready for your weekly dose of connection and encouragement, because around here, we don't just mom. We mom with purpose and power in alignment with our true selves. Stay tuned, my friends. The adventure starts now. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. I'm your host, Shannon, and I am so glad that you've tuned in today. Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to remind you to connect with me on Instagram at Having a Mom Moment if you haven't done so already, where I love hearing from you and love getting to know you and love sharing more empowered motherhood with you. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and rate the podcast on Apple and or Spotify. It really helps reach more incredible women just like you. So here we are back in the full swing of the school year. The after school activities are ramping up and the days are starting to feel very full. But I am being very intentional about carving out time for myself. And while I really need to get back into the full swing of my morning routine, I have made it a point to schedule in an adult tap class for myself starting here in a couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to having something on the schedule to look forward to each week. And because I put it out and shared it publicly to hold myself accountable, my friend is joining me too, which is even more fun. Last week, we also had the chance to travel to Indianapolis to see Pearl Jam for the 9th time. If any of you are Pearl Jam fans, I would love to hear from you too. Love to know if you've ever seen them in concert. And in a few weeks, I'll be hitting the road again to travel to Kentucky to visit my grandma for her 97th birthday with my mom and my girls. So in the midst of all of this and the back to school energy, I'm doing my best to live intentionally and put things on the calendar that I look forward to. And I really want to encourage you to do the same. It doesn't have to be a trip. It doesn't have to be a class. Maybe you just take yourself on a 30-minute date once a week to go get a coffee and sit in quiet. It can be that simple. Or take a walk around the park. There's this beautiful little park near my daughter's dance studio that while the weather's nice, I do like to drop her off and go do a couple laps around this park with this beautiful lake. And that's time just for me. So whatever you do, just remember you're doing a great job. And it is so important to give yourself so much grace as you transition into another busy school year. Now I am thrilled to introduce this week's guest, Dr. Lakshinie Gunasiri. Dr. Gunasiri is a distinguished pediatrician, devoted wife, nurturing mother, and visionary entrepreneur. Her journey through the intricate tapestry of life has shaped her into a beacon of inspiration for women seeking equilibrium in a bustling world. As the founder of Prowess Coaching, Dr. Gunasiri has crafted a sanctuary where women can unravel the layers of their identity, fostering a profound sense of self that becomes the compass guiding them toward their aspirations. I had such an amazing time chatting with her. I could have talked to her all day long. So I know you're going to love this conversation too. After you listen, I would love for you to reach out either on Instagram, or you can follow the little link right here in the show notes and share any of your takeaways or anything that really resonated with you. Without further ado, let's jump into my conversation with Dr. Lakshinie Gunasiri. Hi, Dr. Lakshinie. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Hello, Shannon. Nice meeting you. Very good welcome and morning from Melbourne, Australia.
Yes, listeners, this interview took some extra care with scheduling because I believe you're 14 hours ahead. And the first time you picked on my interview scheduler was 11:30 p.m. your time. And I said, oh, no, ma'am, absolutely not. We're not doing that to you. So thank you. I'm glad we could find a time that works.
Yes, that's 11:30. Yes, being in a mom, being in the mom space right now. Sometimes I just go with the time that I can find most peace in the house when I've made sure that everyone's done their a happy day and finally go to the bed feeling happy.
Oh
And
my
that's when I
gosh.
sometimes find easy to wind down and be in my entrepreneurial space and creative space. So that's okay. Thank you very much for thinking of me, and that's very kind of you. I'm good. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I have nothing left at 11:30 is late. I was not going to ask, especially a fellow mom to do that. So I appreciate you being willing, but that I was like, oh no, ma'am, because 11:30 my time, I am unconscious in a very deep sleep, hopefully at that time. So we worked it out. Okay. I'm so excited to talk to you. You have a lot of titles on top of mom, pediatrician, wife, entrepreneur. Let's get into it. How are you balancing all of these roles?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked about it, because I wasn't balancing until a couple of years ago. I wasn't balancing, and that has been the theme of my life. Because before became a mother, obviously, when you become a mother, you open a new door to another new area in your life that you doesn't come with a user guide, and you just go with the flow and find what you find and do what you do. But before that also, this balance has been a curious point of curiosity for me, based on my own experiences, like right from starting from being a teenager, moving into a medical undergraduate. That's when I started investigating this balance thing, which I now find that does not exist.
Mhm.
So I've had my struggle, I've had my fair share of the struggles in relation to work-life balance and balancing all the hats we like to wear. There was one thing that was for sure with me. I wasn't just going to do one and then finish that and get on to the other one. What inspired me was I was in third year of med school, and then I was crying every day. I was getting bullied every day, and I was having a very bad time. That is quite different from what I expected it to be. I thought that being the high achiever, I would just cruise through and would have everything with Mr. Right coming my way, and like all the rosy things happening in one straight line, which obviously did not happen. Then I was like, okay, now I had to do this, I had to do that. How do I just balance? How do I just balance? I don't want to give up on my studies and my passion for medicine, to be someone's girlfriend and then move into be someone's wife and mother. I did not want to sacrifice my fun part of life to be doing the studying that's not considered fun. So there were so many clashes, and I realized very early that it's just a clash of what I want. Like something that I really want is clashing with another thing that I really want. And how do I stop this clash? Because I want all, I want everything. I don't want to be stopped to be a mother, to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to stop being an entrepreneur to be the medical professional serving people. I don't want to stop one thing for another. So how I found balance is that I realize all this is something I really want, something that I have taken on. Then I had to ask myself a question: what do I really, really want? And how do I want to live? Am I living with other people's definition of me, or am I living with my own definition of me? And then if I'm defining myself, how do I define myself? Like at one point, I'm a mother. Do I have another way of defining? At one point, I'm a doctor. And then at one point, the entrepreneur, author, coach, like there are so many. And then the balance came when I realized that I have these two compartments where I broadly call them work and life. What's in life was not in the work. And then when I looked at it from a sort of like a helicopter point of view, what are the things that's in these two compartments or two ends of the scale we are trying to balance so hard? Everything that was in there was something we wanted. It's just we have put two different labels to it. The interesting thing about how our brain works, because the brain works labels so that it's easy to categorize and present information to you. And then we put these two broad labels, and then all of a sudden there's this need to balance. What will happen if we take these labels off? There's nothing to balance. You will find what's in work is what you're passionate about. What's in life is also what you're passionate about. You just created a divide between some things that you want and now have a new job trying to balance. So that's what I did. I just put the label off and I just started labeling them all as my life.
Wow.
So when I work as a pediatrician, this is what I like to do. And when I work as an entrepreneur, this is what I like to do. And then I found this amazing, like, if I can have time, anyone can have time. That's how I would say it. I found this unlimited time, and I can now without regret, because when I was in the work compartment, I was regretting that I did not have the life. When I was in the life compartment, I was regretting that I didn't do work. So there was no regret anymore, because 24/7, whatever I do is something I like. If I sleep, because that's I like sleeping, because I like having a rest, fine, get up the next day.
I am fascinated. Really, just removing the label and it shifts everything. That's so interesting. So, how old were you when you figured this out? Like, how long did it take you to figure that piece out?
Well, it took 2 decades.
Okay.
I started this questioning myself when I was in the third year of med school, and 22 years later, I figured this out because I was so burnt out. I was a mother of two. I've got twins. They were
Wow.
very young. I'm like, they are now 6. So
Okay.
they are now 6, and they were like 3 or 4 at that time. And I started being a pediatrician. I finished my training years and I started becoming a pediatrician. Then I was working for a public hospital. I was building my own private practice on the side. And then I was forever interested in personal development, NLP, and I taken on a course and I finished it. So I was a newly launched coach. And then I was everything. And then I had these exhausting moments at the end of the day. I wish there was someone to take care of me, but there was none, and there's no one. And then I was like, what is this? What is this? Because all I wanted was a good life. And I have this good life now. Like, I have money, I have children, I have a fabulous husband, I live in Melbourne, I have a house. I had everything other people dreamed about. But then I wasn't living it. I was having a struggle in that dream. I wasn't enjoying it because there was no time to enjoy. It was all about creating, achieve. So then I realized that I had been running away from things. And that's what I did at that time. When I had everything I wanted around me, I wasn't enjoying it because my goal was to run away from certain things. Now, how did I end up running away from the nice big life I wanted? Because I had a goal in my head that I did not want this. I did not want that. So I was running away from certain things that I did not want. And as your brain works, the brain doesn't hear do not want thing.
Right.
The brain only sees what you don't want. Like,
Right.
I don't want to be poor. Thank you, Lakshini. I am making you poor. I don't want a bad relationship. Okay, Lakshini, we are having a bad relationship, because the brain doesn't take the word no. It doesn't understand no. So that is why when we run away from things, we actually make that very thing that we are running away from our goal. So I just had to shift my thinking, and I decided hereafter I'm not running away from anything. Instead giving it a different tone, as opposed to I do not want to be poor became I like to be wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I want exhausted life, meaning I like to do things comfortably. So even though those were the things that you superficially think, sometimes deep within you, you are running away from some sort of a bad experience you had. And then when that happens, you're forever running in this, like, it's like a hamster on a wheel. It never ends. So when I realized that, it was such a massive blessing. I realized I've been running away from all the things that I did not want, because I didn't put it into words that way. Like, I didn't address my brain. So if you want something, you have to tell your brain clearly using a word that you know. If you can't say it, you can't have it. If you can't say it, you don't know it. If you can't say it, your brain doesn't know what you want. So you only have the things that you can name in your life, if you think that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't name it, you don't have it in your life.
Wow. These conversations and the timing are never a mistake. I needed to hear a lot of this, so thank you. It's fascinating. As someone myself, I feel like I've done a lot of the mindset and the spiritual work. Yeah, there are things that I'm definitely focused on not wanting in my current reality. So that's quite interesting. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, and whoever of the listeners needed to hear that today, because it is very real. And I know this to be true. Like, this isn't shocking to me or the people who've been doing the mindset work, maybe some of the spiritual practices. Sometimes you just need the reminder, though, or to hear it in a different way for it to click, and it's clicking. So thank you for that. How quickly did you notice the shift when you went from focusing on what you wanted instead of what you don't want?
Oh, it was very quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was so quick. Maybe because I had been working many years before that on that. I'm not too sure, but it was very quick. The quickest, the biggest blessing was I wake up thinking, oh, I have enough time. Like before
Mm-hmm.
that, it was like, time is very important to me as a doctor. So we all, like, we are very used to, we are hardwired to work within seconds.
Yeah.
And that is one, like, my medical brain thinks time as tight, like we can take a few seconds as a long time. But still, I wasn't taking years as a long time. Like in reality, I was this medical professional trained to do things within seconds. We only have minutes before we save a life. We fraction it out to seconds. I have to do this step within seconds. With a blink of an eye, I had to do this. And we are well trained to do that. But in real life, I used to wake up thinking, oh my God, I don't have time. I did not have time to do anything. And then the moment I realized I have to give this a different theme, what happened to me was I realized that I really have to have a positive goal. Like, not only me, people have to have a positive goal in their life. A goal. Without a goal, you're wasting time. Without a goal, you are taking on other people's goals, and you are donating practically your time and your life to other people's desires.
Oh my gosh.
And then when you have a goal, you have all the time in the world, because when you have a goal that's so interesting to you, that keeps you interested and doesn't make it, like, when you have a real goal, that goal doesn't make you tired, it makes you grow. So you don't have to take a vacation. Like, I used to be this person, I used to work, and then go on a holiday. When I'm on the holiday, I don't remember work. And then when I come back from holiday, I get into work and I don't remember my holiday.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. I'm sure we all share that. Like, when we are after a vacation, we just moan and we grumble and we regret having to go back to work. But work is what keeps you alive. And that's what keep you money. Like, everyone needs money to live, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just the work so exhausting, and the holiday is not. So that is the problem. So what I realize is, when I have this, I moved from being a person who craved holidays, like holidays, let's go out and come back disappointed, something, because something was not found. I moved to this person, don't even thinking of having any holidays. Like, I don't now. Like, even when my husband says, we want to go on a holiday, I'm like, oh, okay, you want to go on a holiday? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm not exhausted that now. So when you give yourself a goal that is so fascinating to you, it keeps you alive, and it doesn't exhaust you. It makes you grow. So there's, once again, this work balance thing is, that's where it's proven a myth again. Because if you are doing something so passionate, you are refreshed on your journey itself. You don't need, we all take care of our bodies, but you don't need a vacation to recharge your battery, because your battery charges as you work.
Mm-hmm.
Your battery charges as you live, if we are living the life right way. So when you have this goal that's so fascinating to you, you have all the time in the world, because that is what you do. Like, when we talk about having no time, it's always a relative thing. I don't have time to do this one, but I have time to do the other one, meaning I prioritize the other one over this one. So when you have something fascinating going on, you don't get to sacrifice your time on other people's deeds unless it has a meaning to what you do. So everyone gets to live their own life and still interact with each other very meaningfully, without saying, oh, you wasted my time.
Mm.
Because that other person is not wasting their time. Who's wasting time is you, because you allowed yourself to be in a certain direction that you did not want to go. So it comes from this fact that when you're so interested in what you do, time is not a problem anymore, because it makes you refresh. And then it's all about fascinate, like, it's all about everything that you like to do. Okay, then to me, after I decided what I really want with my life, I had all the time in the world, and I get up in the morning thinking I had to do this, I had to do that, and I have time. Like, I have time. Like, an hour became an extra long time. 10 minutes became, 10 minutes. It's real, the 10 minutes in medical world. Like, in medical world, 10 minutes is a long, long time.
Yeah.
We can do a lot in 10 minutes. It's a very long time. So
Right.
I'm really glad I started seeing time that way. And it was, for me, it was instant.
Wow.
Then it became simple, because there's only few things to do on a day.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a lot of things to do on a day, you have to review your day about, what do these things mean to me?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I find that we do a lot of things out of habit, not out of choice. They're just rhythms that we've fallen into. Do you have advice for a mother who may be working a full-time job that they're not super passionate about? Which is why I think it is really important, especially to have some kind of a goal outside of that. How do they navigate that if they're like, okay, this is just a job for me? How can I live like Dr. Lakshinie is suggesting?
Yes. So the way I take it, the reason why you are doing that job, unless you really 100% don't like it, but the circumstances has pushed you to do that, to earn some money. That's why we work, to earn some money, or
Right.
to do something that you need. It's always like, there's always these other things that you can also do, probably not so detrimental, but you have chosen to take this one on. The reason being, at some deep level, you like it. If you 100% did not like it, you would not be doing that. So you liked some aspect of it, at least the money that comes with it. At least the money that comes with it, you like it, therefore you do it. And then if you're doing something, is that also because you're probably at one level good at doing that? So you always, like, we always take the shortcut. The brain always takes the pathway of least resistance.
Right.
So the pathway of least resistance to earn that much of money or the fulfill the need that you have is to do something that you are capable of doing and you like at a certain level. If you did not like it, your brain is not going to show you that. So if you're doing a hard job, probably because there's an aspect of it that's you're drawn to it. When you mean I don't like it, you don't mean you don't like it 100%. What you mean is there are certain things that can be improved there. So the question, like when I was in early stages of my career, I used to be this, I used to really love saving lives. So I tended to choose jobs or positions that let me resuscitate people, resuscitate babies, and, clearly save lives. And that means I was working evening shifts, night shifts more, because that's where that sort of work has. And then after I got married, I was like, I can't do this anymore, because now I have to think of a different life, because the way I expected marriage and the married life doesn't really have me going away at nighttime, saving lives. And I started soon not enjoying this. Like this was something I enjoyed really, really much. Like, I did not care the sleep deprivation. I did not care the hunger or the full bladder. All I cared was the next day and I come, I think of, oh, that was fabulous. I did this to pay patient, that sort of thing. But then that is one thing I really enjoyed became something I was dreading to do and still was having to do in the transition phase of my career of being a junior doctor to a consultant and to a mom and a wife. So at one stage, I really liked it. The next stage, because my needs are now different, I do not like it and no plan to go back to that. So it's the same thing. You like some aspect of that. You have to learn from what do I really like here? And is there an easy way of doing that? Is there a, not easy, is there a more fulfilling way of doing that rather than doing it this hard? Because if you're doing something hard, you have to review what you do. Like you have to review, if you're doing something hard means you are giving and you are not receiving something well enough so that you don't feel this deprivation, like, you feel like unfulfilled. That's what we make when we say we don't like it. We mean out of this interaction, I'm not getting much as I expected, because it's the life is always giving and receiving. You give and you receive, and if you're not giving, you can't receive.
Right.
The same way, no one can give without receiving. But there are sometimes we keep giving, and we block ourselves from receiving.
Yes. Please say more.
Yes, that's when burnout comes. We just keep on giving, and then you have to ask, why am I giving so much and not receiving? You have to come to a compromise at one stage. Okay, if this is what I'm receiving, this is what I have to give. But at work and other places, there's contracts and things there. So you have to give. Then you have to really have a good look at and understand, okay, this is what I have to give. What am I receiving out of that? And do I like what I receive? You have to be 100% with what you receive for you to enjoy whatever you do. Otherwise, you will have to look at other ways. And then you have to, say, for an example, we have this job we don't like, and we are building another business, which is very exciting on the side. And then all of a sudden, this thing that did not give you much and you hated doing has become a lifeblood for you to be doing this side thing that you enjoy. So everything has a purpose. You have to look at also it from the point of, like, from a gratitude point of view. I'm so grateful I had this so that I can now have finances or whatever to build up on the other one. I'm so grateful I had this. That experience has led me towards a new path. Everything's teaching you something. You just have to see it that way. So that would be my other advice. Like, you have to look at it from a different point of view. How do I turn this to a blessing? How do I turn this job that I don't really like into a blessing for my life? Which means sometimes it just means you understanding this is not the job for you. Unless you do it, you don't understand that that is not the life path for you. So that is actually my motto I had. Like, it didn't come, like when I was young, it didn't come from a point of gratitude. It came from a point of anger. Like, I'm like, okay, you did this to me, see what I do to you, and I go and prove myself. So later on, I was like, why am I angry all the time? And why does this anger seem to give me so much energy? Like, because you got used to doing things out of anger. And then I realized, okay, I don't have to be angry to learn a lesson. I can still learn a lesson and be grateful for the lesson and move on for thinking, okay, thank you for showing me this is not the way. That
Yes.
means I know what not work for me.
Yes. Yes. This is all so good. I have been saying lately, and I know people don't love to hear it because then they have to take some responsibility, but it's that, we go through hard things, but the degree to which you suffer is ultimately up to you, right? It's how you look at everything. And the things that you're saying about, coming from a place of gratitude, it works. I can tell you, listeners, from my experience, it works. I had a job I did not love, and I went as far as making a little post-it note and sticking it on my work computer of things I did like about my job, and it helped so much. It's a huge game changer.
Yes, it is. It is because you have to look at life that way. When you look at life that way, you don't have to be angry or sad or upset or anything. That's I learned after 20 or 2 decades or 3 decades, whatever you put it, of suffering. I realized that, like, if you're suffering in life, you are not living it right, because it's not meant to be suffering.
Right.
You have made yourself, like, when I mean you, like, we all of us,
Yeah.
we make ourselves suffer thinking hard work is what's going to give you awesome things.
Yeah.
Hard work is the fair deal. You have to put effort and all those things. Yes, true, they are true, but the life was meant to be happy, clear, and abundant.
Ooh.
That's how original package is. You just take the abundance out of it, out of all the limitations you put into your head. If you want to see the world a nice way, you can still see it. If you want to see the world as, oh no, this is not a nice place to be, you can see it that way. It's just what you decide to see, and you get to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is how I see life. How I see life is, now I go, but like I always did, but I do it with gratitude now. What is this thing teaching me? What is this thing telling me?
Mm-hmm.
And those things are clues. Like when I was in my training years, I had this not so good encounter with my supervisors, and it stuck with me because what they said was, Lakshini, you're hiding. I'm like, I'm not hiding. What are you talking about? And I was, for years and years, I was so upset. They told me I was hiding, and me, such a good doctor who always do things, I am not hiding. What are you talking about? This is not even relevant. And then now I realize, yes, I have been hiding, but that they did not talk about that. Like, the universe has ways of bringing things to you when you're
Yes.
ready. I have been hiding my true self. I have been living with other people's expectations of me. What do I really want was something very, very different. Like when I wanted to be a doctor, when I wanted to be a doctor when I was 9 or something, and I wrote it in a, my parents did a publication of that, and my mom carries that piece of paper still with her, saying my doctor said she wanted to be a doctor, and she became a doctor. Okay. And when I meant I wanted to be a doctor, what I really meant was I was going to be a rich person, living very comfortably, caring for my patients, having a successful business, wearing high heels and pearls and all the stylish clothing 24/7. I did not mean I was going to wear scrubs and wearing sneakers at work. And at work, I was like, I want my nail polish. Where is my nail polish? I had that. Yes. I was like, this is okay. I'm a doctor now. Where's my nail polish? And
Oh
I
my
can't
gosh.
wear a nail polish because, because for valid purposes in the
Right.
hospital.
Right.
Where's my high heels? I was trying to wear high heels. Oh, it hurts. Like I can't wear this high heel for this work. And I realized I've been like I did not mean a doctor. Yes, it helped. I'm so grateful I did all that work in the hospitals because it gave me the foundation of this, everything else I do. I saved many lives. That's very good. I've expressed my need to give and help others. That's all very good. But I actually did not mean a doctor being in hospital attending emergency. That's not what I meant when I was 10. And I was in my 20s and 30s, I was doing that and I was feeling exhausted and I was like angry with everyone. So yes, I had been hiding, and I'm grateful that person pointed it on my face and said, Lakshini, you're hiding. You're hiding. I was like, where did this word came from? How is that valid even? I don't know what you mean by hiding. I'm not hiding. But I was hiding. I was hiding my true self. So that allowed me to create a different lifestyle of how do I want to, spend the rest of my career. Yes, I had to do that. Now I don't have to keep doing that all my life. I can still wear nail polish and wear high heels and be a doctor.
Yes. How long did it take you to make that connection of when that was said to you to when you transitioned into what you really wanted?
Well, it took about 3-4 years
Okay.
because that's when I started my coaching career. So that incident led me to go to a coaching college. I just went for a sales presentation somewhere. That incident led me to go to a coaching college. But I was thinking for years of that. Like, I was planning to do coaching ever since I was in med school. Like that was one thing I planned. But that is how life brings what you wanted. And I had it in my mind and I was never doing anything about it. And then this word hiding diverted me to be this life coach, learn all these coaching secrets that I always wanted to know from, like, that 23-year-old who was crying every day, getting bullied, really was looking for answers that came from the coaching world. Until then, it did not make sense. It was around me, but it did not make sense. And then I started realizing this is not what I'm talking about. So I started working on it as soon as I get into this coaching and understood the problems I had. So it took only a few months to have the thing going from there, even before I was thinking it. But that incident pushed me. Now this is the way to go. It's the time to go. So I mean, everything is there for a purpose. Everything happens for a purpose. Although sometimes some things are bad, that's probably the way that you had probably not listened to what was meant to be doing. So we are all responsible for all the bad and the good experiences we have. So everything happens for a reason, and we just have to open our eyes to it that way. Why is this happening? What is the purpose of doing this? Like, what is the purpose of this? There's nothing called good or bad. It's just some things that's good at one stage becomes a bad thing in a different context. So it's always very relative, always in comparison to each other, because that's what the brain does.
Right. Oh, this is amazing. And I could talk to you about this for hours. I don't want to miss the chance though for you to share about your book because on top of all of these other things that you do, you're also now a published author. So please say more about that.
Yes, so thank you for the opportunity. But that is also part of this living the life I want. When I was in this third year of medical school, I was getting bullied. I was crying. I was going for free counseling services, and I could go there and cry for hours and come back and go back and cry. And I wanted to know, how do I not cry? I don't want to come here every day crying. I just want to stop crying. And then I was looking for ways, and I could not find, like, personal development was not so big in Sri Lanka 3 decades ago. That was, we are talking early 2000, not even late 1990s we are talking about. So in Sri Lanka, we did not even have internet at that time. So it was a completely different world. And I did not know these things. But then I decided, like, I suffered, I made up my mind later on with some help I had. And then I decided, when I was exiting the medical school, I decided I'm going to live this big life, because I always had this vision for a big life. I was going to be rich. I was going to be a very nice doctor. I was going to be an author. I was going to have this organization where it helps doctors and medical students to not cry and move on. So that was my career goal. I made it consciously. And then, so I started going on this specialist pathway and upgrading my medical career, as that was one plan. And then I always had in my mind, I need to write this book. I need to have this organization. And then life took its course. And I wasn't I wasn't even sure what I was talking about. Okay, when I find something, when I find how not to cry, I was going to write a book about it. And first I had to find how not to cry. And
Right?
then I went on crying. I went on crying for 2 decades. And then crying. Okay. And then I finally bumped onto this coaching course because I thought I was ending my medical training career. And as a consultant, I was looking around. I saw different pediatricians doing different things. And I told my husband, maybe I should do some life coaching so that I could also offer life coaching on the side for people, because I see parents struggling. I did not even know what coaching was. Like, I got inspired by this one pediatrician who was teaching kids to meditate. I was like, okay, that's awesome, because I see these parents who are struggling to understand what I say. I always wanted to make their heads right. So maybe life coaching is the way. I did not even know what life coaching was. So that's when I needed this coaching experience and knowledge to write that book, because the solution to crying came from there. So I always had it in my mind as something I wanted to do. I always had this flash of visions in my head. I was speaking in front of an audience, and the audience was medical professionals, and I was teaching them how to live life. And I did not even know what to do with this image that comes up. I'm like, what is this? I don't know. So that's that. And then when I was so exhausted after a junior, as a consultant, as a practice owner, I was so exhausted at the end of the day, almost crying, like, what happened to me? And then I decided, now it's time for me to do things I really want. Now I'm giving up on the things I did not want. Then it was a time for me to get clarity on what do we really want to do. And then with experience, I know what happens in my life is what always I see these visions and always things I wanted to do. They just happen just like out of the blue. I don't even do anything about it. And then the things that I impose on myself to do take struggle and crying and so hard to do. So I thought, hereafter, I'm just doing the things that I always wanted to do. So I had half written this book 3 years ago before it got published. And then I was so scared to put my name on it. I was like, who's going to read a book by Lakshinie Gunasiri? I put Prowess Coaching on it because it's then coaching publication. It's not. So I kept 3 years without finishing it because I was so afraid to put my name on it. My name was not good, blah, blah, blah. And then I decided, okay, it's like, no, this is time to do things I like. I like to write my book and publish it. And I wrote it and published it. And that is how the book came about. It's part of my big life. I wanted for 2 or 3 decades, you name it. So yes, that's how the book came. The book is a short read. It's meant to uplift a person's mind when they feel low, to teach them the basics of life. That's what the book is about. So it's called The Little Book of No Regrets, a mindset refresher for the mentally exhausted to be clear on what to do. No regrets is what I wanted. I did not want regrets. And I had regrets after regrets after regrets, to the point I could not tolerate anymore. That's when I realized, by that time, I was a master practitioner of coaching. And I was like, how come I did not see this? I was wanting a life of no regrets, and regrets I had enough, because regrets, your brain goes, okay, Lakshini, you do not want regrets. Here is some. So the moment you put no to something, no this, no that, your brain brings that to you. So I just have to stop looking for no regrets, because that is the context it came from. I was I was regretting my life at that time when I decided I want no regrets. I instead labeled it exciting and beautiful life. And I'm living my exciting and beautiful life hereafter. So that is like you have to turn your words around, because your words matter to yourself, not only to other people. When you speak, your biggest audience is yourself. When you speak to other people, when you speak to yourself, you hear it first.
So good.
And then your brain hears first, and the brain takes action without you even knowing they are taking action. So you have to label it in a positive way so the brain can work and then help you do things. So that book is part of those things that I always wanted to do, and I did it. I'm so happy I did it.
I love that so much. I love it so much. Can we talk for just a moment about the vision piece? I know not everybody will resonate with that, but I'm someone too where I just had a picture. It's like a download and I'm like, I don't know what this means, but we'll see. And I had it was early last year or the end of the year prior, and I saw myself having remote conversations, deep conversations with women, and I was like, I have no idea what that means. And then the podcast came to me and it clicked one day and I was like, oh, here it is. This is the thing. So can you talk a little bit about visions and how they come into play or the downloads, what that looks like for you?
Yes, so I had this vision. So one thing I did that with visions, because it was like years for and years and years. I was speaking in front of this audience in my medical school, and in the audience were my teachers, my colleagues, and also the future, new intakes of medical students. I was teaching them how to learn with ease. That's exactly how to learn with ease, because learning with ease was not what I had in the medical school, but me being a high achiever. I have a good record of learning if someone want to challenge it. But then learning became a problem in medical school because my head was all over the place. And then I don't say I didn't see a relevance or anything, but the social compartment was all over the place and I was crying, so I could not focus, and I lost focus means I had lost everything. How I respected this vision, because when I see something like that, I see, okay, this is not something I'm making up. Because sometimes we make up visions. Like I'm a very visual person, so my goals, everything I need to see. Like most of us are very visual. So when we close our eyes, we can see images. Those images are our thoughts. Like when I was very young, I was like, what are these things I see? I don't know what these things are. And then I realized this is me thinking. It took long years. This is the images. This image is means that I had this thought. This I see what I think. Okay. Now and then this image is not something I made out of fantasy, because I'm known to be in a fantasy world from very little. I was like I get fascinated into a dream world and I can keep dreaming, but those dreams happen. That is what I realized. When I keep dreaming just for fun, they just take place. I don't have to do much to do that. And then I used that vision as a way of getting into medical school when I was younger. It was much very difficult times I got through to medical school because I envisioned being in the medical school for years and years and years leading to that. And I just cruised into that, because it's not only my exam success that mattered at that time. I had so many opportunities leading me to take this. I take it without even question. I get taken, that's how it goes. It's so spontaneous. I landed in the medical school, and like that there was this vision that was like me standing, and I was like, okay, I need to do something about it. So I took a course in public speaking. And then the vision continued, because then I was like, I'm not going to be a public speaker. Excuse me, I'm a pediatrician. Okay. And then this vision kept coming. And then I decided this, when I gave up on this fighting about what I do, I just said, okay, I'm going to be in public speaking. I started doing, if you go on my Facebook, you would see I started doing these amateur videos and all that, because just to get myself out and make myself comfortable so that I have something to say. So I have, like, the way I understand it, I have a message to say, and I have to say it. That's the direction of my life. And one time I was even questioning, who am I? We don't know who I am. But there's this life deep within you that is trying to come out. And then this life speaks to you in different ways. Do this, do this. You are not doing that right, meaning your life is hard. This is the easy way. Just do it. This is what's meant to be. So I have had these visions. And what I do about them is I just do what they say. So right now, my pediatric practice, that was a vision that went for years, a few years before it came, like, and it came very quickly, just like, and then I realized, okay, I have done that. I have done it. Like, that's how you realize it. It's not like you're doing something and realizing I reached the goal. No, you just keep thinking of these things. And one day you land there and realize, oh, I have done it. And that is the same way sometimes when you have bad habits, you get into trouble. If you look backwards with where you got into trouble, it is always something you thought it would be. So that is how in some people, visions is what they think. I now realize that as after learning my NLP and hypnosis and all that. So the vision is something yourself that you like to do, or some, your intuition showing your way. Is you need to respect that, and then it's sort of like telling you this is the way to go. So if for you are having deep conversations with women, I think you are doing it now. I think you are doing it now. So you can probably elaborate on that, or maybe that is the way to go. So it's sort of like reassuring. So I know what's going to happen in my life. I just have to not fight it.
Right.
I just have to not fight it. But what I go by is when you realize something and when you start doing something, is the right time to do it. Because you think, you have a good vision and you have a good plan for a good end. You have no evil end for anyone. You have to get in there. It doesn't happen in one day, everything, because that's how the world works. So when your mind speaks to you in these visions, you need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that shows your deep desire to do something that you really, that's the pathway of least resistance. And I realized after I started doing these, weekly small talks on Facebook, I realized how much I like it. Like, I was like, if I could not do it for one day, for one reason, I'm like, I miss something, like a big thing is gone. So I realized that talking about personal development is what passionates me, what fires me up. So I like to do it more and more, and that's what I do. Like, there are certain things that I'm still not doing right, and then having a fight over it, and I question, is this something I'm passionate about, or what is the fight about? What am I not doing it? Part of me want to do that, part of me doesn't want to do that. Where is that part that doesn't do that? Why is that? There has to be something good about it too. So it's always about, it's a review process. Life is a continuum, and it's a review process. There's nothing right or wrong. You just have to turn back and see where it's gone wrong, and then make it, because something that's right at one point is something that's not right at another point of time. So everything's absolute, not absolute. Everything's relative.
Right. Oh, you're so right. I think if anyone feels stuck, any of the listeners of, oh, I have a vision, but I don't know where to go, just take a step. Just take a baby step in that direction. And often the next step will reveal itself sooner than you would think. It's right there, and maybe you started here and the vision was going to take you here, but sometimes it takes you, in the other direction. It's even more magical than you would have realized. But if you weren't stepping this way, you would have never gotten off the couch, so to speak, in the first place to head in the direction of what's destined for you. So that's so juicy and so good. Oh, thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I literally could talk to you all day. This has been fascinating, but I do know that you eventually have to get to work. So
That's
could you
right.
please tell everybody where they can find you or how they can work with you?
Yes, so I'm available on Facebook. It's Dr. Lakshinie Gunasiri or Prowess Coaching. Prowess Coaching, there's 2 accounts. And I'm available on Instagram, Dr. Lakshinie Gunasiri, once again. And there's a prowesscoaching.com.au website. I'm in LinkedIn, Dr. Lakshinie Gunasiri. So those are the places that people can hang out with me.
And we'll link all of that and the link to your book as well in the show notes so everyone can find you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you,
Oh
Shannon.
my gosh, you're a powerhouse. You're really amazing. Thank you for being out there and shining your light. I think it's really important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Nice meeting you.
You too. Thank you, Dr. Lakshinie. that's a wrap on another episode of the Having a Mom Moment podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing this space with us today. Before you go, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources mentioned in today's episode. And hey, while you're at it, why not give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Having a Mom Moment? You can also visit havingамommoment.com for even more mom-inspired resources. If you've enjoyed today's conversation as much as I have, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on future episodes. And it would mean so much if you leave us a glowing 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, remember to embrace those mom moments, find alignment in your journey, and always honor the incredible woman you are. Take care, friends, and we'll see you on the next episode.